Welcome to The Lazy Girl Library, the podcast where reading is a pleasure and captivating adventures happen from the comfort of your couch. I'm your host, Darbi.
And I'm Mikayla.
And if you've ever spent more time rearranging your bookshelf than your priorities, then you, my friend, are in the right place. Episode 14! It's here!
Wow. I feel like we've kind of flown through this year. It doesn't feel like we've done 14 episodes already. That's kind of crazy.
I know, we're so good at this.
Yeah. Well, welcome back. Today is a book talk episode.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about the book Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. But before we do, we're going to talk about our 5-star, 1-star moments of the week.
I love this.
Darbi, do you want to start us off?
Okay. I should have thought about this beforehand. Okay. My 1 star is probably that I slept very poorly last night.
Yeah.
Not good. Not good. My 5 star would be... Oh, I feel like I had something and I lost it. I think my 5 star would just be like the time that we're in. Like, it's crazy, but it's so fun and exciting. And we just went to this lantern festival last night and with our like girl group, and it's just so fun, like being with each other and talking.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my 5 star.
You also put up your Christmas tree, too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Just kidding. Get out of here, girls. 5 star is definitely putting up my Christmas tree for the first time with my husband. It's our first married Christmas, and this is our first big tree in our first house. So
sweet.
yeah, it was really cute. Thanks for the reminder.
You're welcome.
I was blanking. What about you? What's your 5 star and 1 star?
My 5 star was probably the Lantern Festival that we did with her
So
girlfriends.
unoriginal. I'm just kidding.
I don't know. It was just fun. It's always fun to get together. The weather's colder now, which is
so
nice. And it was just really cool, like seeing. It was a much bigger festival than I was expecting it to be.
It really was like Tangled level. For people who don't really know what we're saying, it's like the little paper lanterns, and you like place them in the water and they float.
And you had like a chance to like write on them, whatever you wanted. You could decorate like however you wanted, and so people would put things that they're thankful for, or like
Some
letters,
memorial ones.
yeah, letters to like loved ones they've lost, things like that.
Just fun doodles.
Yeah. But it was really cool getting to see like all of them, and they had like food trucks out there, and so it's nice to just get together and spend some quality time with the girls. So, and something different that it's not like you do all the time.
Yeah.
So that was cool. That was probably my 5 star. My 1 star moment. I have packages that I was trying to send. They've been on my to-do list for forever. I have been procrastinating, sending them off, putting them together, sending them off. I finally like have them all taped up, ready to go. Josh was kind enough to take them to the post office for me, and they wouldn't accept them because they were in old Amazon boxes that had an empty had like an extra barcode on it.
Boo.
Ridiculous. I was so frustrated because I've sent packages through the post office before in other Amazon boxes, so I know you can. Like, I've done it before 1,000 other times. Why this was a problem this one time,
Strange.
I don't know, but that was really frustrating because I thought I could check that off my to-do list, and it is now still on my to-do list. So UPS, I'm coming to you next.
Yeah, we are.
But
maybe next time you can like duct tape over the barcode.
yeah, well, I think I colored over them this time around. I normally do, and I colored over like the sticker ones, but there are some that are actually like printed on the boxes that I just didn't even think about because I've never had to think about them before. But I guess it was a problem this time, so they're all colored in. I'm going to UPS to try to mark that off my list. But
No, we're gonna send Josh again to UPS. You're gonna relax and read.
You're right. So yeah, that was my 1 star. It's just annoying.
Well, I love our 5 stars.
Yes.
And I hate our 1 stars.
Yeah. But getting back into our book, so like I said, our book club book this month was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Really excited to talk about this one with you.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So the book description of this book was, in this exhilarating novel, 2 friends, often in love but never lovers, come together as creative partners in the world of video game design, where success brings them fame, joy, tragedy, duplicity, and ultimately a kind of immortality. On a bitter cold day in the December of his junior year at Harvard, Sam Master exits a subway car and sees, amid the hordes of people waiting on the platform, Sadie Green. He calls her name. For a moment, she pretends she hasn't heard him. But then she turns, and a game begins. A legendary collaboration that will launch them to stardom. These friends, intimate since childhood, borrow money, beg favors, and before even graduating college, they have created their first blockbuster, Ichigo. Overnight, the world is theirs. Not even 25 years old, Sam and Sadie are brilliant, successful, and rich. But these qualities won't protect them from their own creative ambitions or the betrayals of their hearts. Spanning 30 years, from Cambridge, Massachusetts to Venice Beach, California, and lands in between and far beyond. Gabrielle Zevin's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is a dazzling and intricately imagined novel that examines the multifarious nature of identity, disability, failure, the redemptive possibilities in play, and above all, our need to connect, to be loved and to love. Yes, it is a love story, but it is not one you have read before.
You read that beautifully.
I was feeling myself reading that.
I
was like, I should be a book reader, author.
Yes, you should audiobook. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. That was
the enunciation, guys. Come on.
Professional level over here.
Thank you. But so we're going to be talking about our thoughts on this book, answering... Wait, did you already say this?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay, good. We're going to be answering some book club-esque questions about the book and giving our final ratings. So if you haven't read the book, get ready for a big old read-in recap.
Yeah. So just to preface, the reading recap is just a high-level summary, so it's not going to cover everything in the book, but just enough to give those of you who don't really want to read the book but still want to listen to the episode enough context for what we're talking about. But we do highly encourage reading the book. Also, with this book, I do want to put out that there are some trigger warnings when we're doing this recap of talks of like depression and mass violence, so... just know yourself and know that there might be some themes that are hard to talk about.
Warning. Book spoilers ahead. Please head to the description and show notes to find where to skip to. You have been warned.
So, to start us off, in the 1980s, a young Sam Mazer and Sadie Green meet at a pediatric hospital. Sadie's older sister Alice was being treated for childhood leukemia, while Sam was undergoing multiple surgeries on his foot, which was crushed in a car crash that killed his mother. So, having become selectively mute since the crash, Sam spends all of his time playing Nintendo and Oregon Trail and other sorts of video games in the game room at the hospital.
Nurses encourage Sadie to go play with him. Having someone to share games with causes Sam to begin speaking again, and the pair become best friends. They find out that spending time with Sam, Sadie finds out that spending time with Sam can count as community service, which is required for her bat mitzvah, and Sadie begins tallying her hours at the hospital, and though she really values her time with Sam more than fulfilling the requirement, for her it's kind of like a game.
So after her recovery, her sister Alice was jealous of Sadie and tells Sam when she sees him at the hospital about the tally sheet, which deeply offends him. And so Sam and Sadie stop speaking and don't see one another again for like 6 years. But then the pair is finally reunited by chance at the train station in New England, where they're both 19. Sam is studying math at Harvard. Sadie is an engineer at MIT. Sam is still suffering with issues with his foot and lives off campus with his roommate Marks, who's an amateur Shakespearean acting student, and has come to see like Sam as the brother he always wanted as a child.
Sadie impulsively asks Sam to play a test video game that she programmed for a software design class, and he agrees. Sam and Marks play the game and are super impressed with the design. Meanwhile, Sadie's Professor Dove, a successful game programmer in his own right, becomes enamored with Sadie due to the game. The two actually begin an affair, and Dove begins mentoring Sadie on how to become a better programmer. Their relationship ultimately crumbles when the married Dove decides to return to his wife. Sadie falls into a deep depression and stops eating and bathing.
Sam then begins visiting Sadie and eventually convinces her to program a game together with him. So Sadie then moves in with Sam and Marks as they convert Marks' apartment into a game studio called Unfair Games, with Marks as their official office manager and producer. So Sam and Sadie conceptualize the idea of their first game, Ichigo. It's an adventure game about a child lost at sea who must find his way back home.
With struggling to develop the graphics for the engine, Sam encourages Sadie to ask Dove for help. And the two of them, Sadie and Dove, begin their relationship, resume their relationship. But with Dove's help, Sadie and Sam are able to complete the game. Unfair Games is offered then the choices between a super lucrative distribution deal that will take away some creative control of Ichigo, or a more modest offer that gives them more freedom over their creativeness. Sam and Marks kind of pressure Sadie into accepting the former so that Sam can afford the expensive amputation of his foot and prosthetic after his latest surgery fails.
Ichigo then becomes a pop culture phenomenon, and Sam and Sadie become celebrities, though Sadie kind of bristles at game journalists' sexist assumptions that Sam is the one that contributed more to the game and the company than she did, even though she did most of the programming. So she and Sam's relationship further deteriorates over the question of how much Sam also knew about her relationship with Dove and his encouragement to talk to him about helping with Ichigo's graphics. So Sadie then dumps Dove again and moves to Los Angeles with Sam and Marks to establish their Unfair Games company as a corporate entity.
Marks and Sadie begin dating a little bit after moving to Los Angeles together, and this development disturbs Sam, who fears that they're going to abandon him if they become a committed couple. And also Marks pressures Sam into working on Sadie's dream project, an elaborate role-playing game called Both Sides that takes place between alternate realities. The game is a commercial and critical failure, but the three become motivated to spin off the game's idyllic American suburb of Mapletown into a virtual world called Maple World, which proves to be the company's greatest success. Sam's jealousy of Sadie and Marks' relationship and Sadie's discomfort with Sam gaining credit for their work further drives a wedge between them.
Sadie then asks Marks to convince Sam that Unfair's next project should be a game called Master of the Revels, which is a Shakespearean-themed open-world simulator game that Sadie really wants to make. Sam initially balks at the idea, and so Sadie develops the game on her own, but upon playing its demo, Sam really compliments her work. It proves to be another success, and Sam and Sadie go on tour to promote it for the Christmas 2005 season. In their absence, an attacker comes to Unfair Games headquarters looking for Sam, angry that he legalized gay marriage in the Maple World. But in Sam's absence, an extremist then murders Marks before shooting himself.
Sadie, who is pregnant with her and Marks' child, becomes a recluse and leaves the running of Unfair to Sam. Having already planned development for an expansion pack for Master of the Revels, Sadie produces it from home, programming in a likeness of Marks, who recites soliloquies from Macbeth, his favorite play, in honor of him. After giving birth, Sadie suffers from postpartum depression, but finds solace in an Oregon Trail-themed game where she befriends a variety of characters in the guide of a humble pioneer and single mother. Playing the game in seclusion over the course of 3 years, Sadie finally comes to terms with Marks' death and her role as a mother. Context clues also finally lead Sadie to realize that several of her in-game friends, including her in-game wife, are actually Sam, playing under alternate user IDs.
Sadie then confronts Sam, who admits he programmed the entire game called Pioneers for her using the Maple World engine, knowing she would be drawn to it and that it would be a way for both of them to kind of heal together after Marks' murder. An angry Sadie then cuts off contact with Sam. In 2008, Sadie then has dinner with Dove, who tells her that only someone who truly loved her could have done what Sam did.
Sadie forgives Sam and the two reunite, selling the rights to make Ichigo 3 to a third-party developer so they don't have to dwell on the past. Realizing that making games with Sam is one of the only things that made her truly happy, the two begin planning Unfair's next game. And that is the end. And again, that's just a high-level summary. There are like so many details that we're missing from there. But that's just...
It's the gist of it.
Yeah, that's the gist. And so what are your initial thoughts, Mikayla?
I loved this book. This is definitely a top read for me this year. It's one of those books that, at least for me personally, like after finishing, I just felt so deep in my soul. And it's one I'm going to carry with me for a long time. The story I thought it was so well done, where it really mimicked life. And even though it definitely has a plot that it's following as far as like Unfair Games is concerned, I felt like it was almost more mini subplots throughout, as opposed to having like one overarching story that kind of again like mimics life. And there's a lot of imperfections in the story and the characters that I think just kind of enhanced it all together and mimicked like life and its complexities just so beautifully. I loved it. What about you, Darby?
I didn't feel exactly the same way as you.
It's gonna be a good discussion episode.
I thought this was a good book, but I didn't necessarily enjoy reading it, if that makes sense.
I could totally see that.
A lot of it did feel very like real and raw, but for me, I felt the author just had a sense of glass half empty the whole time. Like I felt like there wasn't a lot of like positives like spoken in the book or optimism in the book, which it did touch on a lot of very like hard and heavy parts about life, but I feel like it really just skipped over like happy parts of life and relationship. So that's where I just like fell off. And the pacing of it, the way like it was read was just hard for me to follow, which I think some people really liked, that being kind of in that present tense the whole time with whoever it was. But for me, not.
It definitely is it reads very interestingly because it almost does like flashbacks mid-present tense without warning you that it's doing a flashback or a flash forward, and then seamlessly goes back into like whatever present tense, and
you like don't know who you're like talking about until they like start talking, like who you're behind the eyes of,
right? It was definitely like it took an adjusting when you first start reading it. So I totally understand that. For me, though, I loved that part of it. I think it, like I said, it just like mimicked life and like how we have conversations and how like I could be telling you a story and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wait, but you need the context of this. So like I'm going to go back and tell you this a tidbit and then continue on. It kind of like mimicked that for me, which is why I kind of enjoyed it. Yeah. But it can be confusing.
Yeah, it was definitely, I think it was just like different. It was my first time reading it and I just wasn't like hooked on that style. Yeah. But again, like the story was good, but there were parts of it that I didn't enjoy.
Sure. Did you have a favorite part?
I did. So Mark's.
Yes.
Was the only positive one in the book.
I love Mark's.
And kind of like one of the big reasons that really kept me into the story was his development, which I know Sam and Sadie were the main characters, but like I could have cared less what happened to them. Like all I cared about was Mark. And then also I really liked all the different video game concepts. They're really unique, and I'm not a huge gamer, so I don't know if there are games that are exactly like that. At Ichigo, there's got to be a game super similar to that, because that's just kind of like a story mode type of game. Right. But those were really interesting too, so I liked all of those. I was into it. What about you?
I thought that was really interesting too, but I agree. Mark's was my favorite, my tamer of horses. He's just like the best friend somebody could ever have, and had such a heart of gold, and I uncontrollably sobbed when he died. Oh my gosh, that hit me so hard. He just like, I loved the comparison to him as an NPC too, which I think that stands for like non-player something.
I knew it at one point.
I had it and I lost it as I started talking about it. I don't remember, but essentially like an NPC is like a computerized
non-player character.
There we go.
I just looked it up. I won't take credit for that.
but how like they compared it, because like you just said, like Sadie and Sam are technically the main players in the game of this book, and Marks would be more your NPC, but you can't have a story or a game without NPCs. Like they're the ones that keep everything moving, and I think that Marks did that, and so beautiful. I loved him. So sad. But I also did want to share one of my favorite quotes that just, I don't know why this was so profound to me, but it stuck so, like, it was early on in the book from Sadie's grandma. She's the one who said it when they were, like, still young and visiting Sam in the hospital. And it just stuck in my brain, and it's going to be one that I'm going to remember for a long time. It's, life is filled with inescapable moral compromises. We should do what we can to avoid the easy ones. And I think because I constantly talk about how life is such a grayscale, and we love to try to make things so black and white, but we really don't live in a black and white world, that it kind of encapsulates that. It's not saying that you're never going to like mess up, because there are inescapable moral compromises you have to make in life. That's just life. But to avoid the easy ones, to do what you can to like stay on the right path. I love that. So.
Yeah. I'm curious what your least favorite part was, since you really did enjoy the book.
Sadie. Sadie drove me insane throughout this book. At first, I was like all about her. I really liked her. I liked her character. I liked how it was written, like for young Sadie in the beginning. And Sam was a little off for me, and like I wasn't a big like Sam friend or fan. But as the book progressed, I feel like Sam's character went through a lot of character development and growth, whereas Sadie's almost regressed for me. And she just became even more irritating and annoying and frustrating. And like, what are you doing? So, yeah, she was really frustrating.
Yeah.
What about you?
Okay, specifically the chapter where they're in the Pioneer game. It was so long, and for what? Like, it would have impacted me so much harder if it was shorter, but I was like, we know exactly what's happening. Like,
so I want to counter argue you on this one, and I want to hear.
Okay.
So I think it was long. I'm not
just unnecessary element.
It was really long, but I think what the point of the chapter was to show the detail and development that Sam made for Sadie, and to kind of show Sadie's healing journey. And so it like had a purpose. That long. I understand. It was long.
Sorry, I'm too stubborn on it.
You're good.
But no, I like get it, and I get what the author was trying to do, and I liked it. I just would have liked less of it.
Yeah, I get it. Get back to the point.
Because it was almost like too many details. It's like, I get it. Like, he put so much thought into it. Like, I don't know.
I understand. For me, I'm such a details person, so I loved seeing all the like little things.
Sometimes I am, but for some reason in this instance, I was just like, why do we need to know that she got 1 carrot or something? Like,
true, yeah.
Like things like that. I'm like, I don't know. And then also the glass half empty view from both like Sadie and Sam for like the whole book.
Yeah.
But now I kind of have a glass half empty view of the book, so that was my least favorite.
What it makes you feel. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So this novel kind of depicts the complexities of love and connection in many forms. So in what ways does Sadie and Sam's relationship, in your opinion, blur the lines between friendship and something more?
So I had like notes on this a little bit farther down for another question we're talking about, but I think it almost gave more sibling like love for me sometimes. I think they had a bit of like, I think Sam had a little bit of young love going on, maybe in the beginning, like in the hospital, like because Sadie's the one that really brought him out of that. And then I think Sadie showed a lot of love for Sam when she compromised on the company, because you could tell that that was like morally and for her values, like she was really aligning with the other one, but because of her love for Sam and wanting him to be provided for, I think that showed a lot of love. And then additionally, towards the end, when Sam showed love for Sadie when he was basically running the company by himself after Marks, and he was the one that kind of like was moving along. But it's pretty clear that Sam loved Sadie more in the book, and I think Sadie sometimes used like Sam knowing like his feelings for her. So that's kind of like where I think the
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I definitely see the siblings thing more. I think that's a really good way to describe the relationship. I think the key to Sam and Sadie's relationship is emotional intimacy, because like this is kind of like what Dove alluded to at the end of the book when he said that when he's talking to Sadie about the way that Sam programmed pioneers like specifically for her, and like that could only be like true love that like did that. I think it's because of the intimacy that you feel through like forms of play, and he knew like so much about her intimately through their time playing video games together. But that intimacy doesn't necessarily mean romance, and it doesn't have to be romantic. You can have a romantic relationship and it might be missing intimacy. And you can have an intimate relationship with somebody, but it doesn't mean that it has to be romantic. They're not, I feel like intimacy and romantic feelings often get like mushed together because they can, like, you can have a romantic intimate relationship, but that doesn't mean that they're like one and the same. So I think that was like the difference, whereas like Sadie had a romantic relationship with Marks, but she had an intimate relationship with Sam. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but sometimes I do question their intimacy in a sense of like they never really talked though about the intimate issues or for a lot of things. So like Sadie not bringing up the whole like engine thing with Dove and like her resentment in various situations. She didn't express those feelings. Sam didn't express anything medically about him and those types of intimate parts of him to Sadie, or like the whole Marks thing, like his fears. And I get that a lot of that is like internal stuff, so you're not going to share your deepest things. But when you're talking about like this pair and their intimate relationship, I feel like it was lacking so much though of an actual relationship.
Well, I think my counter to that would be that it's intimacy would be more like vulnerabilities and like knowing the in-depth person of somebody's like thoughts and like how they think, how they feel, and doesn't necessarily mean that it's knowing everything about the person and what's going on with them. So like with at least like with Sam and his foot, you're right, like he's not expressing specifically about like the struggles that he's having, but because Sadie and Marks know him so intimately and like his feelings, that he almost like doesn't have to, because you kind of already know that he's feeling insecure about something, or he's pushing through and trying. Does that make sense?
It does. It's funny though that you say vulnerability, because as you were saying that, I was thinking like, yeah, intimate, but it's lacking the vulnerability of them sharing like the most vulnerable parts about themselves. So I found that funny. That
I feel like this might be a difference for the two of us and how we interpret it, because I feel like you're much more of like an external,
maybe,
and you process things like externally versus like
sometimes. Justin would very much disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like, well, at least for us, like when we're talking, like I feel like you're always like vocalizing your thought processes and
friendships
things.
Are different.
Yes.
Which they were clearly friends.
Right. For like I'm much more of like an internal, like I love to process things internally first before I start vocalizing to work it out. So maybe that can also be like the difference in how we interpreted things too.
This is very true.
But interesting. Okay. But I do agree though that definitely more of a sibling relationship, I feel, that could be misconstrued. And I loved the way you said young love for Sam. I completely agree, because he was kind of stuck in that like middle school relationship feeling throughout the whole book.
I agree.
So did the book focusing on games enhance your understanding of the story, or was it challenging to kind of connect since we're both not really gamers?
I think it enhanced it, and that you didn't necessarily need to be a gamer. And I'm not a gamer, but I feel like
you play a lot of games.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like I understood, like, I know what it means to, like what a sandbox game is, or, like, story mode, co-op, like, those kinds of things. Like, so obviously I don't know, like, what the engine graphics are, but I don't know if I knew nothing about games, how that would change. Sure. But for my low level knowledge of games, I think it enhanced it. And again, like I said, it was one of my favorite parts was like learning about the different games, and I wanted to play them.
Yeah. No, I agree. I couldn't even tell you sandbox what that means. Like I'm
pretty sure, and video gamers correct me if I'm wrong, but like Minecraft is like a sandbox game when it's like there's not necessarily a goal. So like it's just a sandbox to like play in. So like in Minecraft you're just building something. So I'm pretty sure like Maple World would have been like a sandbox game. The Sims, a sandbox game. God. I think I could be wrong on some of those, but I think when it's not like a story mode is like the Hogwarts video game. Like there's a story that you're following, whereas sandbox game is like there's not necessarily like a goal.
Sure.
Like I think the Pokemon game is a sandbox one, and that's just like your goal is to catch them all and like win all the different battles. Huh. But it's like free roaming. I could be so wrong.
No, that makes sense.
I could totally be wrong. So I'm gonna have Justin listen to this and critique me after.
That makes perfect sense to me. But I don't have like some of that. Like
that's what I think.
I play Mario Kart and that's about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not big into the gaming world, but I still like. I think the author, like you said, did a good job of like keeping it more high level for like people understanding, and it did kind of dive deep into like the intricacies of developing a game, but not to where somebody who has no idea what they're talking about would be confused. Like it's still easy to follow, and you kind of learn about the process a little bit. And I thought that having the gaming be like symbolism of life helped you like conceptualize and like make the concepts more like tangible to understand. And like some of the symbolism of it.
What do you mean gaming was symbolism of life? Like
So this is why I loved the book. Because throughout the book, like I said, the whole plot is like this kind of the gaming world and them making this whole games. But when they start talking about certain games, like the restart for life and how you can...
Oh, yes. Those, yes. Okay, yes.
They had like certain, like, because you could like, you can restart a game, but like when Mark's died, like that's the end of it. Like there is no restart for life kind of thing, which is why so many people love video games, because you get to live in an infinite world essentially. But they had a lot of themes like that throughout the whole book that I think by connecting them to games made them more tangible for you to understand.
Good analogies.
Yes. So I think it really helped the book more for sure.
Yeah. How does the novel explore the ups and downs of working with others on creative projects? And have you yourself experienced a similar dynamic in a partnership or creative project?
So I think the book shows more like how pressures from the outside world or outside forces can change a working dynamic within a group. I think that's kind of more what it showed, like as far as like a group creative project is concerned, because like in the beginning when they're working on Ichigo, before they're like they're unknowns, there's like low stakes, and so they're able to like really find their way. Not saying that they didn't have like creative differences or tiffs or things like that within the development of it, but because it's more low stakes, they were able to like take more risk with it, or they really were able to divide up the like work between their strengths and their weaknesses. For like Sam being able to do more of like the creative art, and for Sadie doing much more of like the technical developing of it all, versus after Ichigo became such a huge thing, the stakes were much higher for them, which caused a lot more tension and caused cracks for like ego to creep in a lot more, which is where like Sadie started feeling resentment towards Sam for the whole using her to get to Dove thing, or for taking credit, or her feeling like taking credit for some of the programming that she felt she deserved more credit for. So I think that the higher stakes is what caused more tension for them within their creative dynamic. And although I've never experienced something like that, I feel like we kind of experienced that a little bit with the podcast. Not the...
I have so much resentment towards Mikayla.
Yeah.
Just kidding. It would be the other way around.
Not the negative part, but like the low stakes. Like, we're just doing this for fun, and we're really playing to each other's strengths and like what we do for this podcast. That I think kind of like shows in the beginning of the book a little bit too, and how we can connect to that.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts. What about you? What do you think?
So it was hard for me at first to think about the successes of working together creatively, because I feel like the book skipped over much of that.
Yeah.
And focused more so on the downs and the struggles and the resentment.
I feel like it was almost like watching the backside of water, where you see, like, you know, the successes are there and you kind of hear about them in the background, but you're focusing on the backside of it, the technical side of it all, where they're having all these cracks and not the facade.
Yeah. But it just is like, how sad and boring is that?
Yeah.
Like
depressing.
Yeah. But I do think the author did a great job of showcasing the drive of like young, passionate professionals, similarly to what you were saying, versus the pressure and lack of desire to put yourself in that vulnerable position as you get older, trying to like keep up with the times.
Yeah.
So I think the author showed that really well. I can't really think of any personal sentiments of something so high stakes or with like monetary value, any kind of partnership like that. But in every partnership or creative project, any sort of group thing, you're going to feel a push and pull just because it would be weird if you didn't, because we're all different. So, yeah. But I can't think of any things.
You work so well with so many people, though, that you are truly. It's so funny, when we were reading this book, I was thinking about how much Marks reminds me of you, because you truly are like that kind of
favorite
friend.
character.
No,
well, that's really sweet.
But you are, because you have like such a positive.
I'm just kidding.
That's so funny.
Headphone warning.
Well, no, I'm not going to continue. No.
I appreciate that.
But it's true, because you have such like a positive outlook. That's part of the problem with the book. And maybe that's because you are such a positive person versus like, I don't know, more of the negatives of the book. But how he's such a good friend and like anticipates so many of like his friends' needs from him without them because they have a hard time expressing what they need, and just like meeting them where they are. We talked about this.
I feel like you do the same thing though.
No, but you do it different. Like, it's hard. I guess it's hard to explain, because I was trying to talk about this, like, we were in the car yesterday, how you're really good at like meeting people where they are, and less about like having expectations of what people should be like, or like what you wish they would be doing. You have a lot of grace for people where they are in life. But I think Mark's also had to. So, yeah.
Guys, Mikayla's giving me a big ego. When I'm being obnoxious, blame her. No, I appreciate that. Before I start to cry from your compliments, what role do you think forgiveness plays in the story? Are Sam and Sadie good at forgiving each other? Or do you think their reconciliation at the end of the book feels earned? Why or why not?
So forgiveness is definitely a main theme in this book, whether it's given or not given. It's just kind of like underlying, always there, I feel like. I think that the author does a good job of showing the power of like healing from forgiveness, as well as the detriment it can bring if we hold on to a grudge too long. More so the latter. But forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like keep that person in your life forever, which I think she kind of shows with Dov, in the sense that Sadie kept Dov around for too long. Like, you could forgive somebody and like move on from them, but that doesn't mean that they have to continually be a part of your life. Like, two things can be true at once, to like let go of that grudge, versus like with Sam, she was holding such a grudge against him, and not to say that Sam didn't either, but I'm just a Sadie hater, so we're gonna use her for my example. And just completely kicked him out of her life entirely for it, versus like recognizing that like what she was really mad about was more of a projection of like her insecurities.
They both needed therapy.
They did. They did. But I feel like Sam learned forgiveness more so by the end of the book, because he struggled that obviously with the beginning of the book, whereas Sadie just didn't, at least where Sam was concerned. And I don't know if the reconciliation really felt earned, but it did feel real because I felt like we never get like a perfect forgiveness or people truly like learn from their mistakes even if they're forgiven, like in real life kind of thing. It's more having that, wanting to keep that person around in your life, so accepting the person back by forgiving them. But that kind of connected to like this full circle moment that I loved between Sam and Sadie, from like how Sam was forgiving Sadie from the childhood thing of using him for service hours when he saw her in the subway, and that's when they first started their journey. And then the full circle moment back to when Sadie was leaving on the plane, but she gave Sam like a tester of her new game, just like she did way back when.
I didn't even make the transportation connection, but yeah,
I didn't until I was processing this book later, and then it kind of hit me in like the struck of realization. And so it was like that full circle, like, okay, Sam forgave Sadie at the beginning of the book, and then in a similar mirror of it, Sadie was then forgiving Sam to start a new game together. So I liked that. I did like the way that ended. Yeah. But that was my really, really long-winded rant on forgiveness. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I feel like forgiveness like plays a role in the story, like especially between Sam and Sadie. Are they good at forgiving each other? Like, yes and no, because they forgive each other throughout the book, but both of them hold resentment in many forms.
So true.
And I don't know if that can really be considered forgiveness, if there's a grudge that follows. Because it doesn't have to be a forgive and forget, but it does have to be, like, a forgive and, like...
move on.
Yeah. Or if you are continuing the relationship, like, forgive and, like, grow and let back in. So this is where it felt a lot like sibling arguments between Sam and Sadie, because, like... all the memes with, like, sisters of, like, you took my shirt, like, I hate you. Yeah. And it's, like, want to go get Starbucks. Like, they very much, like, didn't necessarily talk about, like, what they were upset about, but then would just kind of, okay, we got the next game. Like, that kind of stuff.
Well said.
And then I do feel that their reconciliation at the end feels earned. Maybe it's just because I'm looking for the positives in the story, so I just want that. And so for me, if anything, I think there should have been more. But maybe that's the author's whole point, is to, like, make you frustrated about both the characters and, like, our lack of control about what they do and what they say. Which, if that's the case, she did a good job of making me feel frustrated.
That's a great point. I do agree. I wish that because it was the end and, like, having a little bit more of that true forgiveness, because there was so much resentment throughout the book. There was almost like a little reprieve and relief. But...
and I have resentment that Sam never met Sadie's kid.
Yeah, true. What the heck, Sam? That was ridiculous.
Well, no, not what the heck, Sam. What the heck, Sadie?
No, because Sam's the one that never wanted to go see Sadie's kid.
No, Sam wasn't allowed at Sadie's house because Sadie was like, don't come to my house.
That's true. I'm really mad at Sadie for holding the grudge for such a long time over literally nothing. And I'm so proud of Sam for how he handled everything after Marcus's death and, like, giving her that space and everything. But afterwards... when they, like, met up, when he met her when she was teaching at MIT, he could have easily, like, tried to see the kid, or, like,
yeah, but that's
never
not
asked
his
for, like,
place to ask for that
picture. They just never talked about it. So I guess it's on both of them. Yeah. But that was kind of no, that bothered me too. Okay, a little bit more fun. Which of the video games in the book sounded like the most interesting to you? There's, like, Ichigo, Both Sides, Pioneers. I think there's also Master of the Rebels was the name of it. Yeah.
So I ranked a couple of them. Both Sides sounded the coolest to me, especially if it was a co-op game. So that's, like, if you've seen on TikTok the couples that play the game It Takes Two. It's a game on the Switch. You and Josh should play it, where it's like you can't move on or do a task without the other person doing something at the same time. So it'd be like you have to jump on this thing for me to go, for, like, this gate to enter for me to go through, and then when I go through, I have to shoot this block so that you can jump over the block to get through.
So fun.
So I thought if Both Sides was a co-op game where, like, one person was in the Maple world and the other one was in the Dream one, and they had to do things to help each other, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But I'm just adding to the game, so I don't. Yeah. But that one sounded cool. And then that followed by Ichigo, because I really like a story game, like following something and having, like, a goal. And then the last one was the Pioneers, because when I was younger, I would love games like Sims and Dress Up and Do Your House, but stuff like Animal Crossing, I don't know, that's not really my thing anymore if I play a game. So that one, I didn't like that one.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I'm not an open world type of person. I need an objective. I can't just like go on for fun. I know a lot of people find like relaxation in that and the mindlessness of it, which is kind of like the whole point.
I think stuff like that would make me sad because it's like, well, I can't put an apple tree in my house. Like,
yeah.
I wish I could do this in real life. Get a new couch. Like,
no, but I totally agree. Yeah, Maple World would probably be at the bottom of my list. But I agree though with both sides. I think that would be really fun, and I really like the way that you changed that to be like 2-player co-op.
Yeah,
love that. That
cool.
Sounds like even a better way to do it. And then Master of the Rebels was another one that kind of intrigued me because I like a murder mystery, and again, there's like a plot, but I feel like it's also a little dark, so I'm like not sure how much I would really like it. It's
Get one of those scared.
I'd have to test it out and see. I don't know, but we should definitely play both sides together. That would be fun.
Yes, actually, so that game It Takes Two that I was talking about, I got it because I was like, Justin and I could play video games together, and Justin was like, I hate this.
No.
So now our friend Shelby, she's been coming over, and now we're playing it. Like I started it on a different profile with her, and we're like past where Justin and I went now. So I was like, whatever. Now it's Shelby in my game.
I love that. No, I'm definitely gonna have to look into that. That sounds really fun.
I think you and Josh would really like it.
Okay. I will definitely look in.
Would you read another book by this author?
I would, because I really enjoyed the writing and the symbolism, and I loved the full circle moments and the callbacks to the beginning of the book. I think it really helped like solidify, at least for me, like the meanings that the author is trying to get through to you about the book. And I definitely think this is one of those books that's like more about what you're taking away from it than like the story and escapism of it in itself kind of thing, which I enjoyed and was expecting. So I think I liked it. What about you?
Maybe. Depends on the description of the book and like what it's about.
Yeah.
I also think I would definitely need a friend to read it to get their insight first before I like go into it. Yeah. So maybe. I won't say no, but I'm not like saying yes.
Yeah. I get that. So then what were your final thoughts, star rating?
Star rating was like a 3.5. It was arguably a good book, but I think just like, and I tried not to feel this way, but it just felt like the author was almost trying too hard to make it feel real at some points or to make you feel sad and cry. And as I've said multiple times, like, life is not all like depressed though. Like it's not all sad things. So I just wish there was a little more evenness in it.
A little more like, light.
Yeah, just a little more light because, I don't know, I wouldn't want to live in the world she wrote down. Like, there's way more positives than that. And we just brushed over a lot of them. So, 3.5. It was good, but I was relieved when I was done with the book. So that has to say something about how I felt about it.
I think it's totally fair. Yeah. I understand that one. For me, it was a 5-star. Yeah. But what's a shocker?
Hey, but that's what's cool about books. It's such an intimate thing.
Yes. I love talking about books that we agree on, but I love talking about books we disagree on more. It's so fascinating to me. From like what I see versus like what you see. I love that. So, but yeah, this was a 5-star for me. I think it was imperfect and real, but that's what I liked about it. It had beautiful life lessons sprinkled throughout. It almost felt like a modern day fable to me because I feel like when you talk about like Aesop's fables, like they're not necessarily happy all the time.
No, I really like that.
But you have like the message. That's what this felt like to me. Yeah,
like a warning of like friendships and working together.
Yeah. So yeah, I loved it. And that's the book.
That's the book. Not only is that the book, but that is our last book talk of 2024.
So sad and exciting all at the same time. I can't believe we're already at the end of the year.
It's crazy. So next month we'll have one more holiday themed episode to kind of close out our first season of the podcast. Then we'll be announcing our first book of 2025 when we pick back up in January with season 2. Don't worry, we won't be gone long. And then also something really exciting is we are going to start using Fable for our book club book talks. So join our club through the link in the show description. You can also find the link in our Instagram bio at Lazy Girl Library.
I really enjoyed using this. We kind of did a test run with this book, and I
Yeah.
thought it was really fun.
It was really cool. Again, we're new at it, so it might not be perfect the first couple of books that we do it, but we'd love for you to join.
Yeah.
It would be so cool.
It was, just come talk to us about books.
Yeah.
Speaking about talking about books more, what are we reading? What are your borrows and returns?
Okay, so my only return is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
Yep.
Because that took me a while to get through.
That's okay.
But yeah. Anyway, now borrowing is Finale by Stephanie Garber. Or Garber. I don't remember. It's the third series and the final book in the Carval series. So I'm excited to be back in that world. I definitely needed something that was like me after that book. So it's going really good and I'm excited. And without giving like much away, the first book is from like one sister's point of view. The second book is from the other sister's point of view. And it looks like this one is from like both their point of views. And they both have kind of like different storylines going on right now. So I'm excited.
Interesting. I do have this series on my list. I own the first book and I am excited to try it out for how much you really enjoy it.
Yeah. So. It's like, it just feels like different.
Yeah.
I'm curious for.
I feel like a lot of the romantic-y fantasy books can start to feel a lot of the same.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that the concept of this one is a little different, for at least from what I can tell.
Yes, it is like, it's different.
Yeah.
They're not wearing any leather battle suits.
I love the uniqueness.
I love it. What about you? What are you borrowing and returning?
Borrows, I'm just about done with Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Crushing it.
I am reading these like a fiend. Oh my gosh, I can't get enough. And so then I will be starting The Deathly Hallows, which is the last book in the series. I'm hoping to have it finished by the end of the year.
You can do it.
Thanks. I think I can. I think I can do it. But yeah, we're fully back on the Harry Potter train, and I'm looking forward to finishing the series out. My returns, I only have one other than Tomorrow. It's Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom. I did this on audio, and I cried almost the whole 4 hours.
I'm glad you liked it. Oh my gosh.
Like, I don't know. November is like an emotional month for me. The Tomorrow book made me cry, and then after I read that one, because I was still feeling like all the like emotions in my feels, I was like, I need another good like feely kind of book. And I remember you talking about this one and how it was really good, so I was like, okay, let's try this.
And it's like quick too.
Yeah, it was like a super, I don't know how many pages it is because I did it on audio, but it was only a 4-hour audiobook, so like really quick.
Quick.
Oh my gosh, absolutely loved it. It hit me right in those feels. It had so many like, where this book talked about life and its negatives, this book talked about life and so many of its positives. And so I think this is truly one of those like everybody should read it at some point kind of books.
I read it in high school, and then funny enough, I don't remember how this happened, but then my English teacher at the time had us read the book. And so I was like, wait, I've already done it. Like, so I think it's such a cute book. And like you just said, a book that has such good reminders that we all need to hear. Because someone told me one time that it's not necessarily that a lot of us need to learn things, but we just need to be reminded things a lot. So yeah, such good reminders.
It is.
And you will cry.
Yes.
But that's okay.
It did. It definitely, made me emotional. And I think I'm going to make this like an annual read for November for me.
Cute.
Because I think it does have so many of those like good reminders. Like you said, like we need to be reminded a lot of these things. It's not that you don't know about them already, but it's just like the making sure that they're at the forefront of your mind or bringing them back to like being conscious about a lot of these things. And because it's such a short read, this is going to be like an annual Thanksgiving read for me.
I love that. I haven't read it since high school, so maybe I should go back and do a little reread. Could be fun.
So good.
Yeah.
Good feel good book.
Yes.
And that's it.
That's it for this month's book club episode. Be sure to let us know what you thought. A lot of at least our mutual friends have read this book, so I'm curious to pick their brains. So let us know in the comments. Let us know what books you want us to be reading for our next book club. You can DM us on lazygirllibrary. You can DM us on lazygirllibrary Instagram. Commented on any of the podcasts.
Yep.
like wherever you're listening.
You can also reach out to us on our contact us at the lazygirllibrary.com, our website. Join our Fable. It will be in the link in the show's description as well as our Instagram. So come join us there so we can talk about more books.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Well, dear listeners, we find ourselves at the end of another episode. And remember, the Lazy Girl Library is not just a podcast, it's a community. We absolutely love hearing from fellow book lovers, so don't forget to share your thoughts and your favorite reads with us on our social media. You can find us on Instagram at Lazy Girl Library. Make sure to check out our website, lazygirllibrary.com, your one-stop shop for all things Lazy Girl. Before we go, we want to take a moment to thank all of our wonderful listeners. Whether you're listening from your cozy bed, on your way to work, or anywhere in between, thank you for making us a part of your day and for being a part of our Lazy Girl family. So keep those pages turning, keep those imaginations flourishing, and remember, the best stories are yet to be discovered. Until next time, stay lazy and happy reading.